All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Arakah, Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Ruel. Peace and blessings and citation to the hopeful elect, the Bayak, Dawadah, the house of David. All right, so we're just going to jump right into it. This article right here. This is EU's chat control law would push user towards Web3 alternatives, experts, right? It says privacy experts warn EU's chat control law could break encryption and erode trust in digital platforms and push users towards decentralized Web3 solutions. All right, so pretty much that's like a suppression of the truth, man. Or pretty much that would be like a suppression on the YouTube, or especially over in the UK, man. All right, you know, or especially over in places like overseas, man, like way overseas. You know, and this is the EU. And as you can see, you know, I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna show you, but I'm gonna read the article. So you got certain places right overseas that would be suppressed by this. Like, you know, you got brothers who over there who teach this word, man. You know, that would go for YouTube. That would go for Facebook. That would go for Instagram. That would go for all of these channels, man. That all that suppression would come to. All right, pretty much a chat control. Things that would be set up on your channels or whatever you would say, it would get desensitized. All those things like that, man. All right, so let's go up here and let's read some of these things like this, because NATO, right? Because you got NATO in the EU, right? So if the EU is doing this, you already know NATO is doing it, right? These are the toes, man. Partly. These are the toes in the book of Daniel. All right, NATO and the EU. All right, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which America is a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. All right, and a part of that side of them, right? You got, hold on, Salakia. You got these right here, members, right? Which was Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the United Kingdom, and the United States, right? Which was all the founding members. Which they joined in 1949. All right, they signed it in Washington D.C. on April 4th, 1949. All right, and you got the EU nations, which I'm reading about here. So this would be a suppression on all platforms, pretty much, man. Especially you got matter of fact, you got X. That would be a suppression on a platform. You got, like I said, YouTube. You got Instagram. You got Facebook. You got all these suppressions that will be on this thing right here, man. All right. All right. So let's continue to read on. Okay. And then we're going to go to a few scriptures. It says, as the European lawmakers near a decision on the controversial chat control legislation, right? Legislation. Let's go to the word legislation. Right. So the word legislation is the enacting of laws, from French legislation, right, or the late Latin legislationem, right, legislationem, right, or properly two words, the legis, all right, legis, all right, or legitu, or legto, right, or proposing or literally bearing of a law, all right, literally bearing of a law. Or legislator, meaning the produce of legislative action. All right. It says a lawgiver or a maker of laws, from the Latin legis, right, elector or possessor of a law, from legis or genitive of lex or law, right? To make laws, back formation, form of legislation, or legislator, or legislated, or legislating, right? So that's the verb, the noun, and you got the noun up top, all right? So let's go back into this article. It says the controversial chat control legislation is privacy experts warn it could break public trust in digital communication and push users towards a Web3 platforms. It says at the center of the debate is the EU's proposed regulation to prevent and combat child sexual abuse, which would require platforms to scan private messages for illegal content because they are encrypted, and critics say that the effectivity creates a backdoor in encrypted systems. All right. It says contradicting the EU's own commitments to privacy, have an inherently corrupted entity nearly unlimited visibility into the private lives of individuals incapable with an honest value statement of digital privacy. All right, so let's go to the scripture real quick. This is Micah 2:1, and it reads, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. Right, because it's in the power of his hand. In the power of who? The other Esau. All right, it's in the power of these devils' hands, man. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, and even a man of his heritage. And his heritage. All right. So let's get this here real quick. Let me get this here. Let me get Psalms. Matter of fact, let me hold that Psalms. Let me get Job 18:5. Job 18:5. And it says, yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. Right, the light of the wicked is going to be put out, man. All right? They're trying to suppress people from speaking the truth. Why? What it is they really trying to suppress all the truth coming out on the internet and coming out all around the world on these devils, man. All right? We bringing out the truth, and they're trying to suppress it. That's what this thing is really all about, and it's a part of their whole New World Order agenda. All right? And a part of their one world government scheme. All right? Is to be in total control, total dominance. That's what the elites want. This ain't nothing but from the deep state. All right? You see? Which is coming to NATO, which NATO is doing that too. They all working, they all doing it. This is all a one order thing, man. On both aspects. On their end, which is the EU, and then on NATO's end. All right? Okay, which they're doing that over here in America. Babylon the Great. All right? Asking you for verification and all that on YouTube. You know, if brothers ain't had that pop up, you know, if that popped up on you, you know, you got, you know, that's what this is really getting into, man, and talking about, man. Pretty much. And things of this nature, and going into the Palantir, which is a security watch. Ain't nothing but really security watch, man. All right? Totalitarianism government, man. All right? You see? So let's go here to Proverbs Matter of fact, let me get that Psalms real quick. Let me get that Psalms 97. And it reads this here, Psalms 97 and verse 9. It says, For thou, Yahweh, art high above all the earth, and thou art exalted far above all gods, right? Because Esau trying to call himself a god and put up his god over his one world government, man. But nah, Yahweh is above all that, and his son Yahweh Shai. All right, and that's when we lifting up the banner and we shaking the hand at them and telling them, listen here, your kingdom going down, you're done, you're through, it's over. All right. Okay, all we need is that microchip to come through, which is the mark of the beast. All right, the RFID microchip. Ultimately, okay, all hell gonna break loose, which all hell is breaking loose here in the Jacob's trouble. There's a lot of things going on around the world, man. All right, but this devil not gonna report it on his news. A lot of this news you gotta watch, man. A lot of things be lies, man. All right, trickery of Satan, man. Okay. Certain things you just gotta keep your eyes on, man, and be circumspect, man, and look at. All right, because not all things are what you think they may be. All right, according with this devil, man. Okay, you see. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's continue on to verse. Where we at? Verse number 10. It says, "Ye that love Yahweh hate evil, and he preserveth the souls of his saints." The saints are the Israelites. And he delivereth them out of the hand of the wicked. Right? And that's what's going to happen, man. All right? Ones who believe on Yahweh Shai, the elect, Lord willing, may be a part of that, going to be delivered out of the hands of the wicked, man. All right? Who's the wicked? Esau, Edom. All right? That's the wicked. Verse number 11, it says, 2/3 of our people are wicked too, but ultimately the wicked is Esau, Edom. It says light is sown, right? Meaning planted for the righteous, all right? And gladness for the upright in heart, meaning the mind, right? It says, rejoice in the Lord, ye righteous, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. Okay, who's the holiness? Yahweh. All right, rejoice in the Lord Yahweh. All right, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. Okay, so let's get back into this article. All right, so it says right here, the latter verse of the article, it says, illegal content before they are encrypted in. All right, no, here we go, right here. It says, given an inherently corruptible entity, all right, it says, nearly unlimited visibility into the private lives of individuals is incapable with an honest and value statement of digital privacy. Hans Rappel, CEO, founder, and CEO of Dado, told Cointelegraph, he called the proposal at a dangerous overreach. It says, Islander Farbad, General Counsel at the Bricken, noted that the law appears difficult to justify under the existing jurisprudence of the Court of Justice of the European Union. She appointed the Article 7 and 8 of the EU chapter. All right. It says of fundamental rights. Okay. All right. It says which guarantee the confidentiality and communications and protection of personal data. It says client-side scanning would enable the monitoring of content or user devices prior to transmission, including in cases where there is no indication of unlawful activity. She explained. Look, as you see these here, right here, the 15 EU countries support the chat control law, right? So you got these ones that oppose. 1, 2, you got about 5 countries that opposed, right? Austria, Finland, Belgium, Netherlands, what is that? Poland, and right, and Chesria, all right, a Chekasa, all right, but all the rest of them support it. Okay, you see, EU laws set dangerous precedent. Experts say the regulation sets a dangerous precedent from legal and technology and technology, all right, standpoint. All right, technological, right, Salakia, technological standpoint. There are no guarantees that Rappel added when asked the tools could be misused. Over 10% of all data breaches occur in government systems, he warned. Rappel raised concerns over the border impacts that surveillance would have a public trust, and encryption is now only a technical feature. It is a promise to users that private communication will remain confidential, she said. The erosion of trust in traditional messaging platforms can prompt users to exploit decentralized Web3 alternatives platforms to build and protect user data through encryption by design. It said Web3 privacy battle cry is not your keys, not your data, Rappel said. This is true self-custody for data. He added nothing that the end user. So this is going on to pretty much checking up on you, man. This is really looking in on you, man. All right. You see, it says self-custody of data, he added, noting that the end user maintains sovereignty over their information from cradle to grave. It says, Fabio, what echoed the sentiment, stated the privacy consensus users will increasingly explore decentralized Web3 alternatives if chat control is passed. It says she warned that the shift could fragment the EU digital market and weaken the EU's ability to shape the international norms on privacy. It says ball in Germany's court. The ball is in Germany's court. Germany, which holds the pivotal vote, has yet to take a final stance, while the 15 EU countries currently support the proposal. They fall short of the 65% population threshold required for passage. If Germany votes in favor, the law will likely pass. If it abstains or opposes, the legislation is expected to fail. We believe it to be low, and Rappel said of the likelihood of passage, but it won't be the last time that there is an attempt to subvert fundamental human rights in the name of safety. All right. So we got a few more scriptures we want to go to. All right. So let me get Proverbs 14:1. Let me get Proverbs 14:1. Proverbs 14. Oh no, Salakia, we don't want that one. Salakia, Psalms 84:11. Ooh, look at that. Psalms 84:11. Psalms 84:11, and it reads, "For the Lord Yahweh is a sun and a shield." It says, Yahweh will give grace and glory, and no good thing will he uphold from them that walk uprightly. Right, and we're not going to uphold his truth, no. All right, the word of the Lord ain't going to stop. The word of the Lord just keep coming. Brothers going to keep putting up videos and putting up videos and putting up videos. They're going to try to suppress it. See, what it is what you call a suppression, right? It's called what you call a suppression of speech. right? So let's go here. And let's put in suppression suppression of speech, right? Suppression of speech or censorship is the act of preventing or restricting freedom of expression. In the United States government, censorship is largely prohibited under the First Amendment, right? It says though certain categories of speech are not protected, the issue of speech and suppression is complex, involving both government actions and policies by private entities. It says speech suppression by government. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution states that the Congress shall make no law abiding, it says, abridging the freedom of speech. However, the Supreme Court has defined a few narrow categories of speech that the government may regulate. It says the expectations have been interrupted strictly by the courts. All right. And as you can see, speech suppression by private entities, right? So hold on. Yep, here we go. I wanted to get down here. It says unprotected categories of speech. All right, so let's matter of fact, let's read up here. It says speech suppression by government, which I already read that. All right, so let's read this: unprotected categories of speech. It says incitement to intimate laws, lawless action, and speech intended to proceed mediate illegal acts. All right, true threats, statements where the speaker intends to communicate a series of expressions of intent to commit an act of unlawful violence against an individual or a group, defamation, all right, false statements of facts that harm a person's reputation. This includes libel written or slander spoken. All right. It says obscurity. It says material that meets a specific legal test and defined by the Supreme Court. Fighting words that are by their very utterance inflict injury or incite an immediate breach of the peace. Child sexual abuse material, illegal material that is distinct from obscurity, obscenery. All right, Salakia, obscenery, and obscenery up there. All right. It says, and as you can see, we read on there and there. But let's get back to the scripture. Let me get Amos 5 and 10. So this is Amos 5 and 10. And it says, they hate them that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. Right. So they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate. Esau hate us that we rebuking him through the scriptures, man. He hate that he's getting rebuked. All right. And we're giving him his judgment through the scriptures. All right. And the rest of the nations are getting their judgment through the scriptures. All right. You see? They're being put on trial spiritually and physically. It's gonna happen eventually in the kingdom. Starting with our big brother Yahushua. The Heavenly Father Yahweh, then Yahushua. Ultimately Yahushua. The first. Let's continue on. Psalms 94 and 20. Let me get that. Psalms 94 and verse number 20. it says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? Which frameth the mischief by law, right? Which frameth the mischief by law. So let's go into this here, right? What is frameth, right? To form, fashion, frame, to form or fashion a human activity, right? A human activity. You see, to be formed or created, okay? And that's what Esau does. He forms or created. But what does he create? But by law. What does he create? A law. Right? So that's what he does when he does decrees. He creates laws. Those are decrees or prescribes. Right? So you have a statute, ordinance, a limit, something, prescribed due, prescribed task, prescribed portion. All right? Prescribed due, prescribed limit, boundary, enactment, decree, ordinance. Right? Specific decree, law in general, enactments, statutes, conditions, enactments, decrees. All right? Okay? Let me get Revelation. Okay, let's get Proverbs 13 and 9. Let me see if we got that. Let me get that Proverbs 13 and 9. All right, see, here it is right here, Proverbs 13 and 9. It says, the light of the righteous rejoiceth, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. Right, and the lamp of the wicked is going to be put out. All right, the lamp of the wicked is going to be put out. Okay? You see, when our big brother Yahushua come back, the lamp of the wicked is going to get put right on out. Okay? You see? All right, so let me get my last scripture here in Revelation 13, in verse number 9. It says, Revelation 13 and verse number 15. It says, and he had power to give life into the image of the beast. Right, in this image of this beast, right? NATO in the EU. All right, NATO and the EU, okay, which make up this beast, and how they pass off things through their legislation. Both sides have legislation, all right. The United Nations, all right, and then you have the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, all right, which is nothing. They all pass nothing but legislation, right? Decrees, laws, and things of these nature, man. And they push off their agenda through their medias and different other places, through their witchcrafts and many different other things of that nature, right? It says the image of the beast and the image of the beast should both speak. That's how it speaks, through its legislation, through many different other ways, through many different forms of communication is how this devil speaks, man. All right? It says, and cause as many that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right? You see, so that's going into, when you don't take this chip and things of that nature, man, when you don't comply to their system and so on and so forth, man. All right? Concentration camps and so on and so forth down. All right? But this is starting off in a smaller form set right now. Starting off in a set, getting you, you know what I mean? But, with that, I want to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Arakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who well, peace and blessings and citations to the Hufo elect, the Bayah, Dawadah, the House of David. Shalom, Bible Ball.